All right, good day everyone. This is Jason Strait with the PaaS Cloud Virtual Group. Today our presentation is Introduction to Azure Cognitive Services, and our presenter is Anu. Before we get started with the presentation here today, I just have a few announcements that I want to go through. The first is this presentation and this user group is brought to you by Quest Spotlight Cloud. Spotlight is the first Azure-hosted database performance monitoring solution focused on SQL Server customers, leveraging the scalability, performance, and built-in security of Microsoft Azure Cosmos DB. Spotlight combines the best of the cloud with Quest's engineering insights from years of building database performance management tools. Through this virtual group, there are quite a few upcoming presentations that are coming over the next few weeks. The one that I just want to highlight is the Big Data Architecture and Data Lake with James Serra on August 6th. That has actually been moved to August 6th. It was previously on July 25th. So if you were signed up for that, that presentation did get moved. If you are interested in presenting for this virtual group, we are always looking for more presenters. You can email me at cloud@paas.org and just send over an abstract and bio, and we can work together to get the session scheduled. Alternatively, you can go out to cloud.paas.org and go to the call for speakers link that's on the page and just fill out a form and put in all your information, and we'll get that session scheduled that way as well. Coming this fall is PaaS Summit 2019. And as part of PaaS Summit 2019's new format, they are introducing learning pathways. Learning pathways is a way to take an introductory topic and follow it through to moderate to advanced levels so that you can basically spend the week learning something from basics to advanced. If you want more information on that, you can go out to the PaaS Summit 2019 website and go to the Learning Pathways page. If you have not yet registered for the PaaS Summit, there is an opportunity to get $150 off your registration by using the discount code for our virtual group. If you use that discount code, you'll get a discount to your registration of $150 US. As part of the sponsorship that Quest provides for this virtual group, at the end of the session, after the session is over, 2 attendees will be selected and $25 certificates will be sent out to them, and that's going on through the end of June here. Additionally, if somebody does register using our virtual group discount code, they'll be entered into a drawing for a $250 gift certificate. And as of last Monday, when PaaS had communicated with me, nobody had used our discount code yet, so there's a pretty good chance that anyone that does use that will get that gift certificate. And that's Quest's way of saying thank you for attending to everyone. This virtual group is part of a large number of other virtual groups that PaaS does help support. These are language focused like Global Chinese and Global Spanish, or technology focused like PowerShell or DBA Fundamentals, or this one, Cloud. There's a lot of opportunity to continue learning throughout the Microsoft Data Platform. Throughout the session, you may have some questions, and if you do, you can put them into the Q&A panel. And at the end of the session, we'll go through those questions, and Anu can answer them for you. And at this time, those are all the announcements that I have for this week, or for this session. So our session today is Introduction to Azure Cognitive Services with Anu. And at this point, I will make her the presenter. All right. You should have presenter now. Well, there we go. I can see your slide.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great. So welcome everyone for today's PaaS Cloud Virtual Group session. And I'm going to talk to you about Introduction to Azure Cognitive Services. So this is all about how do we use AI to solve business problems. So just before we get into the session, a little bit about myself. I'm Anupama Natarajan, so you can call me also as Anu. So I'm a Microsoft MVP for Data Platform, and I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer and speaker and a blogger. So I have around 15 plus years of experience working in the IT industry and predominantly in Microsoft technologies. I have of course worked in open source and other different technology stack, but my expertise is more around the Microsoft technologies, and I use other technologies in terms of like, okay, how does things work in other technologies in terms of like cross-validation purposes. I'm really passionate about data and in the way how I can get meaningful information out of data and give it to my end users or my business customers. So I'm really happy about exposing data in any formats, like whether it is through an API or is it through visualization tools like Power BI or the cubes, or whether nowadays like my focus is also looking at how do I expose data through various channels like bots. So that's what my passion is about. It's all about around data. So after this session, if you have any questions related to today's session or anything in general around cognitive services, feel free to reach to me through any of my social channels as listed here. And yeah, I can respond to your questions even after the session. That's not an issue at all. Great. So without any further delay, we can look at the agenda for today's session. Given it's an introduction to cognitive services, I just wanted to start with an introduction about the Microsoft AI platform itself, and then we'll be drilling down into the Azure AI services, what are the different services that are available, and then we will further deep dive into the Azure Cognitive Services, like what is the cognitive services directory looks like and what are the different services that are available. And we'll be looking at each of these services like through some demos, so you will be getting to see like what functionality these services provide to you and your end users. And finally we'll be looking at cognitive services on containers, and this is something that has been announced by Microsoft early this year, and what is the reason for having cognitive services available on containers, and we'll be looking into it. And finally there are some useful links which I have placed in the references section, so after the session if you want to go back and learn about more about cognitive services, you can use them. Great. So the Microsoft AI platform. So as you can see in this image, like the Microsoft AI platform comprises of not just bots, because that is a perception people think, is bots Microsoft AI platform, or is it machine learning, or what it is really. So the AI platform is basically an amalgamation of a set of services that are available along with the infrastructure to support those services, and also some tools, because like not always like you will be having out of the box capabilities. Sometimes you may have out of the box capabilities, sometimes you may need to code things from using different languages. So that's where the code and management tools come into play. Here we look at the services stack, and under services you have got custom AI, pre-built AI, and conversational AI. So custom AI is basically like you can't use any of the out-of-the-box functionality that Microsoft offers, and you have to go ahead and build your own machine learning algorithms. And there are some situations where you have to go down the custom AI part, and I will talk about that down in subsequent slides. Pre-built AI is something like Microsoft, as you know, like they have got a huge amount of data already sitting underneath of Bing and other search engines. So what they do is they create a lot of pre-trained models and make it available for end users to consume. So you don't need to worry about like, okay, writing something in code or something. You don't need to worry about your models. You don't need to worry about building anything. It's all about how do you want to consume the models that are already pre-built, and you can leverage it in your applications. And that's what pre-built AI is all about. And finally, the conversational AI, it's all about the utilizing the bot framework. So this is about creating your own chatbots or voice bots to enhance your services that you provide for your end users. Then we have got the infrastructure, because if you are talking about running AI on the cloud, the main thing is you need to have a scalable infrastructure that supports the platform that supports, and the amount of data, because when we talk about machine learning and cognitive services, we are talking here about the huge volumes of data, and that needs to be processed in really quicker time frames. So the compute and the storage is really important when it comes to AI. So like there are the different formats of storage that are available on the cloud for supporting the AI applications like Cosmos DB, SQL DB, SQL Data Warehouse, or your Azure Data Lake storage. And similarly, from a compute perspective, you have got virtual machines that you can spin up if the out-of-the-box PaaS services that are not sufficient enough to meet your needs. And finally, you have got the tools like we have got the Azure ML Studio, and sorry, this is a bit of an old slide and I haven't got an updated screenshot yet. The ML Workbench has been deprecated currently, so instead you have got the Azure Machine Learning Service available. And of course, one thing that is not highlighted here is about the automated machine learning, and that is becoming hot currently. What it really does is like it is going to save your data scientist time in terms of like spinning up the machine learning models in quicker time frames. So in today's session, we are going to mainly look at cognitive services, which is part of the AI services stack. So within AI services, as I mentioned, there are three parts there. One is the pre-built AI, you have the conversational AI and the custom AI. Cognitive services falls under your pre-built AI. So these are these are models, machine learning models that has been created, retrained, and it is still continued to be trained and maintained by Microsoft. So as an end user, what we are really doing is picking up the right service that we require from the cognitive services stack and utilize it in our applications. So one of the key questions, like whenever I do go and present about AI or cognitive services, what I normally get as a question is, do I need to start a greenfield project if I want to use AI in my organization? The answer is always no. It's not the case. You can enrich your existing application with AI with using cognitive services and other things that are already available. So you don't need to worry about like, okay, I need to start up a greenfield project or anything. If you have an existing applications, you can turn that into AI enabled application by even utilizing some of these cognitive services, which I'm going to walk you through today. Great. So what we are going to look at currently is the categories or the directory of the cognitive services stack. So we have got the set of APIs under the vision category, the computer vision API, the ink recognizer API. The ones that I have marked in preview, these are some of the services that has been announced in Build 2019. So during the Build conference, Microsoft just release the preview versions of these services that you can utilize. And then you have the custom vision API, the face recognition API, video indexer API, and the forms recognizer API. So the forms recognizer API, as you know, is this is one of the things like people like me who have been waiting for a long time. I generally work in a lot of do consulting for a lot of government departments and private sector organizations, and one of the pain point is there are a lot of organizations still using a lot of paper-based forms, and trying to do a decent OCR or getting data out of those forms and pushing it into their downstream systems. I can tell you like how many organizations are still lagging behind for that functionality. So that's where forms recognizer are going to be really helpful for organizations who wants to get into utilizing AI as quickly as possible. So when I talked about can I use AI into my existing applications, forms recognizer is a classic example. You can take an existing application which is currently capturing information in images, you can put it through to forms recognizer, and you can extract the information in key value pairs out of it and send it to your downstream systems. That's a simple example that you can think about how can I use the cognitive services into an existing application. So the next category we have got is the speech category. So under speech category, we have got a new service that is currently in preview mode called speaker recognition, and the other one is the speech services, which talks about a lot around translating voice to text, text to voice, and so on. So that's what the speech category comprises of. Then you have your language, and there are the text analytics API, which will allow you to analyze sentiments from the various amount of messages that you get. And this is really an useful one, especially if you're capturing a lot of feedback from your customers, like through your different channels like contact center or social media or something, so that there will be a lot of messages where you want to identify the sentiment about what the customers think about your organization and the services you provide, and that's where text analytics will play an important role. Q&A maker, really good service, and if you want to turn any FAQs that is sitting on your website into a question and answer type of thing or bot or something, you can easily make that using Q&A maker. You take an existing FAQs which is available either in a Word document or a spreadsheet or a PDF. One of the thing that really amazed me was like how Microsoft turned a product manual into a, like I can turn that into a chatbot. So you may get product manuals like when you buy a TV or a DVD player or something, and quite easily with Q&A maker you can just upload the PDF version of the product manual, and then automatically it turns into you can convert it into a bot where you can start asking questions and it will try and respond based on the information that's available. So the immersive reader is another service that is currently released as part of the Build conference, which is in preview mode. And then the translated text. Currently the translator serves up to around 50 languages, and I'm really happy about this because I originally come from India, in southern part of India, and my mother tongue currently is available through the translator service under the language category. And then the language understanding. So this is really important, like especially to do the translation. So it can convert any language related information into text and vice versa. And that's what the language category currently supports. The decision category is something new. Again, since the post the Build 2019 conference, I think the Cognitive Services directory has been reorganized or classified. So if you look at some his previous images or something that you can search on Microsoft blogs, some of these APIs will be kept under or categorized under different categories. So this is the new set which is now up to date based on the Build 2019 conference. So they introduced a new category called decision, and underneath that, like they moved the content moderator API, and they created two more APIs to support the decision making process, which is the anomaly detector, which is really great for especially in the financial sector, where you can automatically detect any anomalies with your transactions or your invoices, and it will automatically alert your end users. And then your personalizer API, which allows you to provide personalized, because it will recognize who you are, and then it starts providing personalized experience for your end users. And finally, the search category. So as you can see here, there is a whole heap of APIs Microsoft currently provide as part of the cognitive services stack under search. And I'll be showing some demos around that, like how can you use certain things. And one thing that really impressed me was the final one. Just in case if you can't see it, it's the Bing local business search. You can even search for your local businesses using this particular API, and if you want to integrate it in your application, it's readily available. Great. So currently what we will be doing is we'll be getting into each of these categories, and we will be looking at what are the different services that are being provided, and we'll be looking at some demos around how you can use these APIs or the services, both from what is available from a Microsoft perspective, like a visual way, and the other one is I'll also show some C# code samples, like if you want to utilize this API in your application, how can you do that. So under the vision APIs, as I mentioned, we have a computer vision API. What it allows you to do is to extract information out of the images. So you can upload a whole heap of images inside to this API, or you can analyze a lot of images through this API. The reason I'm just keep on saying upload is Microsoft have got a demo website where you can upload images, and automatically the API will analyze the images for you. But in real term, like basically you can use this API, you give the set of images as an input, the API will tell you and provide a JSON result to say what it can identify in those images. Mainly the common objects, because one of the thing I was talking about, like these are pre-built APIs. So with Microsoft pre-built APIs, it can recognize a lot of common objects, like I can see a cloud in this image, I can see a tree in this image. So these are common objects. But if you want to see like, okay, what type of tree is this, that is not something that you will be getting with the pre-built APIs. That's when you need to go for your custom machine learning models, because you have to train with a different set of images, then only you will be able to get that type of output. But for common objects, like, okay, I'm finding a tree in here, I'm finding a grass in this particular image, or I can see kids playing. So those are the type of common things like the computer vision API can recognize and provide it to the end users. The face API, it can detect, identify, analyze, and it can tag faces in photos. This is really good because I think Uber is currently using this API, and pretty much you can recognize who your driver is. At the time of booking, you will know like the person with whom you made the booking is the person is actually picking you up. Face API is going to become another way of getting into authentication. So no longer like you will be having security cards or anything. You have to just show your face and automatically get access to the buildings. I think that is going to be our future, and which I think already iPhones are supporting. Ink Recognizer, this is again a new service that was announced as part of build. It's in preview mode. So what it can really do is this particular API can recognize digital handwriting. So nowadays, like we sign a lot of parcels, or we take a lot of notes on a digital way, and what Ink Recognizer can do is it can recognize the information that is keyed in and from those images, and then it can expose that information as a JSON. Forms recognizer, and I told a bit more about that. So if you're having like a common layout forms, then basically like the forms recognizer API can recognize the key and value pairs. Like for instance, I have an first name column and then people are filling in a name. It can detect it is the first name column as well as the value that was provided, and it will give you the key and value pairs as a JSON string. We'll be looking at that shortly, how the output will look like. So then we have the custom vision service, and as I said, like a computer vision service is something which is common objects. Custom vision service is something you have to train. So you have to just give samples to train that. A classic example is what type of tree is this. So computer vision can detect it, there is a tree in your image. But if you want to get down to the type of the tree it is, to detect what type of tree it is, then you have to go down the custom vision service. And finally, in the Vision APIs part, you have got the video indexer. So what it allows you to do is it can get information out of the videos. So how your custom computer vision and custom vision can extract information out of images. Similarly, the video indexer can also extract insights from your videos. Great. So I'll just quickly jump on and to show a few demos here. Before I get into the demo, first thing is like if you have to provision or consume the cognitive services, the first thing you need to do is you need to create a service on Azure. So what I'm going to do here is quickly I'll just go into my subscription. I don't need a resource group. I'll just get into an existing resource group and I add a service. So here I want to use computer vision, so I'll just type computer vision here. So there you go. So I have to just hit on create and it will create a computer vision service for me, which means like everything that I want to use around computer vision, I'll be able to use it in my code. Like I can invoke the APIs that are available under computer vision. So the key thing, once it is provisioned, you will be seeing computer vision cognitive services being created. Two things that are really important if you want to use computer vision or any cognitive service. One is the endpoint. So this is the endpoint where I'll be hitting with my request. And the second one is the access case. So because the computer vision or the cognitive service needs to know which Azure account I need to be charging. So because you will be making requests to the service and the service will need to know like, okay, which Azure account I need to be charging or putting this request against, and that's what the access key is mainly used for. So I'll show this example in terms of a C# code. How do we consume this particular computer vision? But in the meantime, if you are not code savvy, then if you really need to understand like what I can get out of this, because sometimes like there are a lot of business people who will be curious to figure out how can I use this service in my business sense. So Microsoft has got this web page called Cognitive Services directory. I have added this URL in the references section. So here you can just go here, and they have got some pre-built demos here. So you can select an image, and then automatically, as you can see here, when you use the cognitive the computer vision service, then basically it will say this is a building. So it can identify the buildings in the photo and also for every object that it is identifying, it provides you the confidence level, because the confidence level will help you to decide on is a particular object I'm looking for, is it available on the image. So if I take this particular one, it says it's a mammal, and as you can see here, like it has also got a confidence level for each and every tag that it is providing. So again here it detected it is a list of human face and they are posing, and as you can see here there is a whole series of tags that are also supplementing it, saying there is a bit of people in terms of women, young people are there. So what you can do is based on the type of tags that it is returning, and you can decide on what you want to do with that particular image. So what it also allows you to do is you can allow your custom images that you have any from your file system, and you can analyze it. So for doing this, I will pretty much use my example which I have built quickly. So what I have got here is a series of computer vision sample applications that I have got. So I'll just zoom a bit just in case if it is not clear. So as I said, like the two things that is really important is the endpoint and my API key. So these are the two things that are really important. So what I have got is there are two ways you can utilize the computer vision API. One is you can use the .NET SDK, or you can use the URL of the API itself. So I have got the examples of both here. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the images that I'm going to use here. So this is a sample image. So this is just a house image that I'm going to put it, and I want to see if I upload this image, what does the API gives me as information. So let me quickly run this. Great. So as you can see here, so the primary colors are green and white, and for all the tags that are associated, I have got a grass, outdoor, sky, house is there, window is there, building is there. So it's pretty much gives me the confidence level for all the different tags that are available. So where this is really going to be helpful is like if you think about real world scenarios. So I have to just classify images. So I have got a whole heap of images piled up, and I want to classify images based on whether it has got a building in it. So quite easily now I can hook it up. I can build a simple application and just parse each and every image, and I look for the tag like a building or something with a confidence level of a higher confidence level, then I can put them automatically, classify them in a blob storage. So this is what is going to be making life easy, because I have worked with a lot of organizations, like especially with utilities company. One of the things they will be looking for is like we usually ask our clients sometimes to send the images of their meters, and so half of the time, like if we have to ignore, if there is no meter in that particular image, then there is no point in us analyzing it. And currently every single image that comes to the organization, someone has to open it, look at it, and detect whether it has got an image or not. With this process, like we can just classify the proper images with the meter in it, and then the rest can be looked at or ignored as it is. So that is an example which how you can use this in a real world scenario. Sorry. So similarly, like I'm not going to go through each and every demo here, but I will just quickly show the type of images that I have used in these demos. So one of the thing I used is I'm a big cricket fan, and basically I'm from India, so I support the Indian cricket team, and Sachin Tendulkar is one of my favorite player. Like the computer vision API is really good in recognizing celebrities as well as landmarks. So which means like if I upload this image, automatically it will detect the celebrity in the image. So maybe this is a interesting demo, so I'll just quickly run through this. So it's the same set of API I'm calling. Here I'm calling the analyze endpoint, and I'm just saying like, okay, this is sachin.png file. Let us see whether it detects Sachin Tendulkar. So there are lots of celebrities that the computer vision can detect. It's not only like cricketers, but also other celebrities. Great. So I think if it detects a celebrity, then automatically the celebrity tag will be populated in the JSON. So as you can see here, it has detected Sachin Tendulkar from the image, and also it has detected like he is a celebrity. And it is really good because what I did is like just sort of curiosity. I tried and with different set of images. It's his son, and along him with his whole family. And it was quite interesting to see even in this photograph, the computer vision API was able to detect a Sachin, and also pointed out like he's a celebrity in this photograph, and which was really good. Like I'll just quickly show that demo also, just the third image with his family. Great. So it says Sachin Tendulkar posing for a photo, and I'm more curious to see, yeah, here it detected the celebrity. So again, so whether it's an individual sitting in a single image, or an individual in a group of images, and if they are a celebrity, the computer vision API will be able to identify that. So similarly, as I showed here, this is the computer vision. You have the face recognition API here. So when you upload images, it can recognize the faces and also the emotions, whether the person is happy and whether they are wearing glasses and what is the age they belong to. I tried uploading my own image, and sometimes like I feel happy because my age, what Microsoft is showing, it pleases me because I look younger from a Microsoft perspective. So I think those are the things you can detect. So for instance, if you want to use it in real world, like if you want to detect if the person is less than 30 years or something, then classify the images. Then you can easily use face recognition API to find out whether a person's age is like that. In terms of accuracy, and that is really important to consider, because you can't just trust and say like, okay, it recognized someone is happy, which means I will just go ahead and use it. Sometimes you may need to just give some importance to the confidence level. If the confidence level is between more than 0.7 or something, then probably, or 70% or more, then you can make some decisions. If it is like 50 to 70%, then probably you may ask someone to look at manually, or you can decide whether to ignore the images or further open for less than 50% or something. So always give attention to the confidence level, because that is really important to understand. Again, the ink recognizer, again, this is really new, and what it does is like it can just recognize as information out of it. I think they had some as you can see here. So you can choose any particular image which has got information written onto it, and it should be able to recognize it. And these are digital ones that we are talking here, and all those information will be available as a JSON output also. Great. So the video indexer, so what it allows you to do is, as you can see here, like I can play this video, and automatically as part of playing this video, it will start recognizing, okay, I can find a celebrity in this, or someone in this video is whether what their emotions are, and some of the keywords that it can detect as part of the videos. And this is really good because you can start like pretty much you can pitch the tone of the or the idea of the video, and you can just use it for whatever purposes you need it. Form recognizer, and this is really an interesting thing. So this is the demo that was shown to us as part of the bill conference. As you can see here, this is just invoice and automatically the JSON out of that it gives you as a key value pair. So bill to Contoso Limited, as you can see here, it can recognize everything. So Microsoft are like, it's currently in preview mode. So the first question that came to my mind is like, okay, can it detect some of the complex forms I have got? And I think you can start utilizing this API with your forms that you have in your organization. But just have a look at it, because if it doesn't fit the thing, you can just talk to Microsoft and say like, we have a peculiar form here. So because they are always looking for interesting forms that they can put their test their services against, especially around the preview mode. So if you have some complex forms, don't mind, feel free to reach to Microsoft, or if you need to talk to me and I can help you to reach to Microsoft. Great. Let me jump on quickly to look at the next one is around the speech API. So the set of speech APIs we have got is the speech services. So as I said, like we have APIs that allows you to convert audio to text. You can do the translation and text to speech with the speech services. And some of the real world use cases where this is handy is there are a lot of organizations, especially with a contact center, they have got legal obligations, like where any conversations a contact center agent is having with a customer, it needs to be transcribed and loaded. And I have worked with organizations where they have to take this and attach it to the customer relationship management system. So I think you can automate those type of requests through the speech services. And then you also have got the speaker recognition API. So this will identify the individual speakers or use a speech as the means of authentication. So we'll just quickly look at some examples on this one. So all the ones I'm showing here, I'm not just doing it one code. I just showed an example. How can you invoke this using the code? But some of these are really available that you can pretty much use it. I'll just play this sample. I will be able to hear this. So as you can see here, like because I was here able to hear the conversation, and as the speaker is speaking, that it starts transcripting the information what the speaker is speaking about. So this is really handy in terms of if you want to quickly transcribe something and put it in your system. This is speaker identity recognition. So as part of like the audio, it can recognize like who is actually speaking. So this is for like a lot of celebrities and things. It is quite easy because they can train based on the different speeches they have been giving, and it can automatically just do that. So one of the common question I get from people is around oh, I have got how do I train my stuff, like I want to train my building, my meeting rooms in my building. So the services that Microsoft have got, especially the computer vision one, is it can recognize a building, but it can't recognize your meeting rooms and other things. If you have to go down to that level of detail of recognition, then you have to build your custom service, which means you have to have a series of images of your meeting rooms, and then you have to train it and create your model. It's doable, but you can't use the pre-built API like a computer vision API to do that. Great. So next one, I will quickly jump on to the language APIs that are available. So we have got the text analytics API. As I mentioned, it's all about sentiment analysis. The Q&A maker service, which is around how do you turn a FAQ into a more usable format. the immersive reader service, which helps users to read and comprehend text. Translator text, which is around, you can call an API and you can translate the languages. And language understanding service, because in order to do translation it has to understand the language. That is one. Another one is also understanding the common terminologies, so that like you can build a natural language type of conversations inside your applications. So let us quickly jump on to see some examples on this. So here is a text analytics demo. So what we can do is we can look at the sentiment analysis. As you can see here, like I had a wonderful trip to Seattle and enjoyed. So this is a more positive thing. So when you analyze it, it says like, okay, these are the key phrases I could identify. And the confidence level, it's English language, my confidence level is 100%. And the sentiment is 98%. It looks positive. So how about a negative one? Unfortunately, it rained during my entire trip to Seattle. I didn't even get to visit the Space Needle. So similarly, it has recognized now the sentiment is like, okay, there is no happiness in this message. So automatically the sentiment percentage is reduced. And as you can see here, just by typing the information, it can analyze the sentiment. And this is really handy, especially to analyze a whole heap of feedback that you are getting from your clients. The other one is, I will quickly show you the Q&A one. So the Q&A extraction is basically what you can do is you can build, take an existing PDF or a Word document. So the Q&A maker service is not available here. It's a Q&A maker.ai that you need to go to that website, and you can just build your Q&A maker service. This is a simple one, like where once you build a Q&A maker service, you can ask simple questions like how do I log in? Yeah, the answer is you can log in with this account. So as you can see here, you can keep asking the type of questions here and you will start getting the answer in the relevant thing in JSON also. So Q&A maker, I would suggest like if you go and have a play with it, and you can turn simple PDFs into a good user-friendly Q&A. Great. So let us quickly jump on to the next part, which is around decision APIs. Within decision APIs, you have the content moderator API, which allows you to identify like images, text, or videos. Like this is like if you have some images or something that is available in the image which you don't want kids to watch. So you can use the content moderator API to analyze the images and go find whether it has got any adult content or not, or just or offensive content. Then you can just reject them, and you don't need to pass it on to the young people. So personalizer service, which again it's a preview one, and it provides you a personalized user experience. Anomaly detector service, that it can help you to identify problems before they can occur. So let us quickly jump on to see some examples around the decision making services. So as you can see here, your content moderator service. So you can look for moderating your images, text, video, and then you can also make sure like a human can look into it. So what it is basically used for, as I said, for offensive information on the images that or videos, that you can just filter it out. Anomaly detector. So this is mainly for, sorry, there are some not much demos built here, but anomaly detector is mainly for you to find out, like as I said, like okay, with transactions or anything that is really abnormal. So you can easily identify that even before the event occurs. And personalizer is, now you can provide personalized experiences for your end users. So what it will allow you to do is you can just keep on utilizing this service, and pretty much like you can train this service with the information that you have got, so that it learns of its own. So you don't need to have any machine learning experience for this. So it will automatically, based on the information that you are providing, it will automatically learn. Pretty much like your automated machine learning type of thing. There you are classifying the models and picking the right model for your problem, And this is more around like identifying what the personal choices of your customers are. Finally, let me jump on to this before getting into the demo. So the search APIs, under this category we have a whole heap of APIs like the spell checking API, visual search API, which means you can search images within an API. So you can search for a keyword and say like, okay, give me all the images that Bing can find for that particular keyword. You can look for entities like people, places, and businesses, and you can search for newses. So if I want to just look at particular information, it can search and bring you the news information. And auto suggest is like I want to type something, like it's like a type ahead feature. I want to type a few words and automatically it gives me the recommendations. And then the web search, which is around given it is searching Bing, it has got billions of information that it can search for. Let me quickly show you some of the examples of the Bing APIs. So let us look at the visual search. So as you can see here, like you can look for a particular things, and these are the different images that are coming from Bing. There you can see here. And you can choose the market from where you need to be searching also. The other thing is the news search. So as you can see here, like you can see get ad-free news using this API. So currently the Cricket World Cup is happening. So I want to read through pull the information that are available about the Cricket World Cup. Here you go. So it brings me all the information related to the Cricket World Cup. And again, this is available in JSON. So which means I can easily pull this and use it wherever I need to serve it into my app or in my application or something. So the prime idea about here with all the services or the demos that are shown here is how quickly you can take an existing service and quickly integrate it into your business use case. So as I mentioned at the start of this presentation, it's not about always thinking I have to build greenfield application. What you can really do is find a particular use case and see which cognitive services can be integrated into the application to solve that problem. One of the problem which I was mentioning is about there are a couple of issues like I have seen with clients. One of them is around they currently with a contact center team, they take information about a call, they write notes in a paper, and then once they finish the call, they type that in the CRM. So we pretty much automated that part, which is around like, okay, transcribing the information and automatically hooking it up with a CRM API into it. The other one is, as I told, a utilities company classifying the images, and that one also like we made it really easy for them in terms of identifying whether it's a image which has got a meter in it or not, and that was really handy for them rather than spending time to look at each and every image to identify that. So it is all about picking the right set of use cases and figuring out which particular cognitive service is going to solve the problem. Great. So cognitive services in containers, and this is something like Microsoft announced early this year. And the prime reason for that is because not always all the use cases that they have looked for is all people are always in connected mode. Sometimes like they want to utilize services like the face recognition and things where there won't be any great internet access or anything. And also like and some people don't want to get the data to be sent on to stored on Azure. They want to still keep the data on premises, but still they want to leverage the cognitive services APIs, and that's where like cognitive services in containers will be really helpful, where the data is not actually sent. You are actually utilizing the cognitive services and pretty much on your hardware and your container basically, and then you will be getting the JSON results which you can utilize. So this is something I think a lot of organizations will be getting into, where if they don't have a proper network coverage, or if they are not ready yet to put the data onto the cloud, they can still make use of cognitive services in containers. But Microsoft is also supportive of, like, if they want to go completely offline mode and do on-premises, I think they are also looking at if there are use cases available, they are happy for people to reach to them with those type of use cases to see how cognitive services can be provided in that scenario. Currently there isn't anything available in terms of like providing that, but they are looking for use cases in case if certain organizations have that necessity, they are happy to look into it. Great, so here are some of the references that I have got that you can go and jump into and start utilizing it. I'll just quickly show one thing, which is especially if you are going to use the Cognitive Services API, Microsoft have published a API reference document. So as you can see here, this is the computer vision API service, which is 2.0 version, which is the second version. You have 1.0 and 2.0 version, and for each and every endpoint it clearly says like, okay, what is the input and output parameters that you need to be passing, and there are some examples if you want to use it in C# or in different languages, how do you go ahead and use it. And this is really handy, especially if you are just building or hooking up with the API for the first time, and if you really need to understand like what each and every endpoint does and provides, and you can utilize it. And you can use this particular one just as a test bed to try that if you don't have your own subscription. But as you can see here, this is connecting to West US. But if you provision a computer vision or a cognitive services in the region that you belong to, then it will be much faster, because then the quicker you won't have any latency issues. So that is something, if you are really planning to use cognitive services and utilizing these APIs, this API documentation will be really handy for you to get started. Great, so that's what mainly I wanted to cover in terms of the introduction to cognitive services. There is a whole heap of services, as I mentioned, that are available, and the key point which I want to call again is around you don't need to build a greenfield application if you want to use cognitive services. You can happily look at existing application and what is the value or the functionality it provides to your business, and if you find any of the cognitive services can be integrated to provide better value, go ahead and integrate it, because at the end of the day, the main idea about cognitive services is how do you enrich your existing application into convert it into an AI enabled application. Great, thanks Jason. Like, I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
All right, thank you very much. At this moment, we don't have any questions, but I'll leave it open here for just a moment for any questions to come in.
Sure.
Thank you for your session today. This has been very informative.
Thanks, Lord, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, came through very clear. It doesn't look like we have any questions then, and so with this, I'm going to thank you again for presenting here, Anu, and thank you everyone for attending. Yeah, thanks Jason. And just in case, like, if people watch this webinar and if you have any questions at a later stage, my contact details and are available in my initial slides, and feel free to reach to me, and I'm happy to take any questions at a later stage also. All right. Thank you again. Thank you. Bye everyone. See you.